ironically enough, the production of the avant-garde as a brand, as a collective hallucination, and endlessly alluring, prestigious commodity, in keeping with Calvin Klein, Nike, Starbucks, Martha Stewart, and the Body Shop, etc., signals less a modification than a complete reversal of the avant-garde's original meaning. Far from being unpredictable or even repulsive, today's avant-garde inhabits the already known. That's very important. You know, it's almost impossible to offend people these days with art unless you're going to go over the boundaries, like blowing up the trade towers. And that, of course, that's more than offensive, it's criminal. But at the same time, the avant-garde used to really offend people. Now, we really, because, you know, what drives, let's take another little aside, what drives the high technology of the internet? Well, commerce. But the dark, or not so dark, twin sister of commerce is pornography. People want faster downloads, they want wider bandwidth. You know, just check, go type in pornography and see how many hits you get. And type in God and see how many hits you get. I'm sure pornography will outdo God in the number of sites that you can get. So, and of course nobody talks about I watch pornography, but somebody must watch it because there are hundreds of millions of sites, right? And women as well as men, in their own way, differently. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I don't know what sites you watch. But I do know that there's a pornographic novel called Shades of Grey that was published in England and then the United States. It's the runaway bestseller, and it's a kind of Marquis de Sade written by a woman for women. And it's, at any rate, all I'm trying to say is that this branding and this internet, that there are ins and outs to it that we need to really understand. And that the avant-garde is no longer offensive, that there's very little that's offensive. And especially if it comes to us as images. Because if it comes to us as images, we already place it conceptually in the world of art or in the world of make-believe, even if it's not. The difference between news and not news is very, very hard to distinguish, in the United States at least. It's interesting to see who advertises where. So on the evening news, where you're always going to get the murders and the scandals and so on, and you're going to get an older audience watching, you have three kinds of advertisements that repeat themselves. Advertisements to take away your pain, your headache, your this, because the news is going to provoke it. Anti-impotence advertisement for men who don't get it up without a little help. And it says, when the time, we have a favorite one, it says, when the time is right, are you ready? But they're never going to say you can't get a hard-on. They're just going to say, when the time is right, are you ready? And they're the man and they're not going to do it with gays either. They're going to do it always with a man and a woman. And the third are luxury items. Fight disease, have sex, and spend your money. That was what is the news. Then you go to turn the sports, and it's beer and cars. You know, so you can tell by what's being advertised who's watching, and what the underlying ideology is. What unites all of those ideologies is what can get us most quickly from the eye to the wallet, and from the wallet to the charge card. You see, that's all I need. So the point is that you can travel around the world with one or two of those things, and you don't have to worry about spending until you pay it. And then you worry a lot and you go into debt. If you're lucky, you become Greece.